Alright, so I don't care what Ronda just said about the White House card, I am positive that she's at the very least considering it. Like, what sort of excuse is that? I got better shit to do. No, you don't. And then in the very same breath, she says that nobody should count out her comeback. Like, she's very clearly going to fight in the UFC again, and I'm pretty sure it's not going to be on an Apex card. And although I do think that she can still beat a lot of the girls at 135, even today, that's mainly because the state of women's UFC, especially women's bantamweight, is laughably horrendous. But the only two girls that anyone could possibly be interested in watching Ronda fight would clap her cheeks harder than Travis Brown does, so what's really the point? I don't know, man. I've made it pretty clear that I find Ronda pretty insufferable, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but if it's a choice between her or Jon Jones fighting at the White House, then I'd rather see Jones, but I'd much rather see neither of them, and yeah, in this video I'm going to be talking about all this and more. Okay, let me give you guys a quick timeline of events. The audio that I just showed you guys a moment ago was from a podcast appearance that she did on September 2nd. Honestly, it was a really boring podcast. All she did was complain about the WWE the entire time, but ultimately my biggest takeaway from all of it is that Ronda herself said that she's open to returning to MMA. Fast forward to this past weekend and Ronda dropped some training clips where in the caption she reveals that she's actually been back to regular MMA training for the past 8 months. I've never laughed or smiled so much on the mat as I do these days. The last 6 months have been an absolute blast, feels like I have so much left to grow, and without the weight of the world on my shoulders, nothing is holding me back. Now, do I think it's a coincidence that Ronda said that the door to her coming back is still open, and then 2 weeks later she dropped some training footage? Do I also think it's a coincidence that Dana White has started liking her posts again starting last month after not engaging with her page in over a year? No, I do not. And if you're at all aware of the Ronda lore from the past year, then you'll know that she's been working on releasing a graphic novel where she herself is the main character. She had to crowdfund the money needed in order to get it published, and at one point both she and Travis Brown were offering fans private MMA lessons in order to fund the project. I've always thought that this was a bizarre business venture for her, and maybe her graphic novel is going to be a runaway hit, but I have a very hard time believing that this is going to be something that's going to make money. I respect that she's pursuing a passion because I know that she's been a lifelong fan of anime, but I've always had this weird feeling that this whole graphic novel pursuit was because she just doesn't really have any steady income at the moment. And I'm not saying that Ronda Rousey is broke, even though athletes way richer than her have gone broke before, but between her mansion in Venice, California, her ranch, and the farm that she and Travis own, I'm sure that she has a good amount of expenses that she needs to pay for. I'm not saying for sure that Ronda's having money problems, but her coming out of left field with her comic book, as well as all of a sudden having an interest in MMA again, feels a bit strange. Regardless of motive, does anybody really want to see this? Like, is anybody really clamoring for a Ronda Rousey return in 2025, let alone 2026? This is the same girl that's gone on record saying that she hates MMA fans and feels vilified by us for how she acted after her fights with Holly Holm and Amanda Nunes.
Explain what it's like to have everyone hate you. Fraud, and I was hype, and I was exposed, and I was never anything, and just lucky, and all of these things, and that I wasn't gracious or a good loser, or, you know, I feel like really vilified.
This is the same girl that went to the WWE and made huge waves early on, but by the end of her time there, she made pro wrestling fans turn against her because of her diva antics. Sounds pretty familiar, doesn't it? Even after she left the WWE for good, she's done multiple interviews discrediting pro wrestling by revealing that all of it is fake and scripted. Yeah, no shit.
Everybody, WWE Universe included. I meant that I'm going to disrespect the sport that they all love so much. Oh, don't break kayfabe, Ronda. Wrestling's it's scripted. It's made up. It's not real. None of those bitches can fucking touch me. The end.
This company gave her a platform after her back-to-back embarrassments in the UFC and presented her as the badass she's always wanted to be known as, and her repayment for that was a press tour shitting on the company and everyone that helped her get there.
I think it's completely disrespectful. I think it's completely stupid, and I think it's almost laughable, because this is the same woman who a few months ago was in her kitchen crying over how tough it is, and she is on a part-time schedule for 4 months, came in, was handed everything, made her debut at WrestleMania, having never earned her way into this business. Yes, she earned it in a different business, but that's like somebody from basketball showing up in the NFL and expecting to be the quarterback. That's ridiculous.
And now, after being in career limbo for a couple of years, she wants to come crawling back to MMA. It kind of feels like a slap in the face, and personally, I'm not keen on welcoming her back with open arms. I mean, who is she even going to fight? The only two options that she has are Amanda Nunes and Kayla Harrison, and she has a literal 0% chance of beating either of them. Sure, it would probably be fun to watch Ronda get pieced up again, but I seriously doubt that Dana would do her like that.
It's been a minute, man. We're coming up on a decade of her having not fought competitively, but like you guys mentioned, she's a legend. Women's MMA isn't where it's at without her. So if she did want to make a return, the UFC would welcome her back with open arms.
And a huge benefit is that division's pretty shallow, like really bad. It's as bad as it's ever been. She could hop into there pretty easily and get a decent matchup and look pretty good. Even
you don't need a B side either. You can put her in there against anyone and people will be interested.
I actually disagree with this take quite a bit. If you're throwing Ronda in there against Juliana Pena or Raquel Pennington in 2026, I do not think that's going to be all that interesting of a fight. Ronda's been out of the game for way too long to have anywhere close to the star power that she did when she was in her prime. Sure, when Ronda was on top of the world, she would sell crazy pay-per-view numbers even though she was fighting cans like Alexis Davis and Betch Correia, but that was a long time ago and her public image is not at all what it used to be. And on that note, if Dana's really trying to get Ronda to fight at the White House, which I absolutely think he is, this guy must really be getting desperate to find a headliner that isn't Jon Jones. I mean, the only fight that we know for sure is going to be on the card is Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler, which, my god, how long have we been hearing about this fight now at this point? We've been talking about Conor versus Mike longer than we've been talking about Tom versus Jon. In a UFC career where this guy has continually failed upwards, he once again gets another undeserved opportunity to fall into his lap. Chandler's lost his last 3 fights in a row, and as punishment, he's going to make the most money he's ever made in his entire life, assuming Conor actually gets into the ring. But my point is, seeing as this fight has no title implications, I just can't see Dana putting these guys as the main event. It's probably going to be the co-main, and honestly, I hate the idea of Ronda being in the main event even more, because that means she'd be getting an immediate title shot after not having fought for a decade, and that would be absolutely unacceptable. Obviously, that leaves the main event open, and I guess they could try and make Ilia Topuria versus Islam Makhachev happen, but would it not feel weird to have a White House main event where neither guy is American? I hate to say it, I really do, but it kind of does make the most sense to have Tom Aspinall versus Jon Jones be the headliner. It's a heavyweight title fight, and of course they can lean into the whole England versus USA aspect of it all.
He tells anyone that'll listen, even last week he was at the Grammys or some shit like that, and he was on the red carpet speaking about how he's back testing and he's ready to fight at the White House. But Dana seems more stern in not letting him today than I have ever seen him. This time he seems like he is not going to back down and allow for him to be on his White House card. And if I'm being completely honest, I don't know that I agree. I think I would let him fight.
Yes, it does make the most sense to have Jon on the card, but even in spite of that, I just can't in good conscience say that I want him on it. You can call me biased and you're right, but I don't give a fuck. I hate Jon. I mean, it's basically all but confirmed that Jon ducked Tom if what Dana says here is true.
And he apologized. What was that conversation like?
Well, it wasn't a conversation. He reached out, he wrote, like a text, saying, listen, sorry how this all played out or whatever, I want to fight at the White House. I'm serious about that, and just one of those type of.
Has that changed your view? No, not at all.
No.
So there's no chance he's gonna.
No, I appreciate it. I appreciate him reaching out and doing that, but I need people I can count on for this fight, and I know who they are. I know who they are not.
You know, it's weird. At one point, Conor, Jon, and Ronda were the golden geese of the UFC. Rewind 10 years ago, and the idea of all 3 of them fighting on a card together would have been the biggest news in the world of MMA. But nowadays, all of their individual star power just isn't what they used to be, but for different reasons. Conor and Ronda have been passed up by their competition and are coming off of bad losses, whereas Jon sabotaged his own reputation multiple times. I will say that Conor's name still holds a good amount of weight, and I'm not gonna lie, if he does actually make it into the octagon again, I'll be pretty pumped to hear Bruce Buffer introduce him. And in the case of Jon, much like Dana, I just don't want to see this guy get his way again after he's done everything the wrong way for the last few years. But if he does end up weaseling his way into the White House card, then you can bet that I'll be rooting for him to lose. But Ronda's a different case. I don't feel anything when it comes to her fighting at the White House or just fighting again in general. I mean, I guess I feel confused because it just doesn't make any sense to me why she would come back at all. She's not popular, she's not relevant, and I can only speak for myself when I say this, but she's not even wanted. She showed us her true colors in her last 2 fights, and since then she hasn't wasted an opportunity to call us fans ungrateful as if she expects us to worship her. I don't deny for a second that she's a legend, and she was a very skilled fighter in her own right when she was at her prime, but the days that I had any interest in watching a Ronda Rousey fight are very, very far back in the rearview mirror. And frankly, if she's only interested in coming back just to fight one more time at the White House, then that's only more reason for me to not want to see her come back at all, because I still feel like this opportunity should go to the fighters who have been actively competing. There's no way that she seriously thinks that she can still win a title at this stage in her life, and if she's only coming back for the money, then that's fair enough, but her being on the White House card would just be her taking the spot of someone who deserves it more.